Hi, everybody. Welcome to Stop Being Sold, a community of informed consumers who are sick and tired of being sold financial products they don't understand or need. So if you're tired of being a transaction, make sure to subscribe to the channel and also like the content of this video. Helps us grow the channel, and also lets us know that you are enjoying the content we're producing. How are you today, Brian?
Hey, Michelle, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm good. Excited for today's topic. We're talking about Bitcoin investing in self-directed IRAs, or another way of saying it, crypto investing in self-directed IRAs.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, Michelle, we're getting tons of questions on self-directed IRAs, especially on the Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies.
Cryptocurrency, right?
Yep.
So self-directed IRA is becoming more and more popular. You're seeing them on commercials. You're hearing more about it because they allow you to invest in more assets than traditional IRAs. So we just did a video called What's All the Rage with Self-Directed IRAs. Highly encourage you to watch it. We'll put the link below. But in that we discussed, there's everything from, which we'll discuss today, Bitcoin and crypto, gold, real estate, commodities, even tax liens, right?
Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
There's a lot of things you can put in them. So let me ask you this. People are calling, asking, hey, what's up with these crypto self-directed IRAs, Bitcoin self-directed IRAs? Like why Bitcoin in one? What do you answer that? Like, why should I open one that has crypto?
First of all, and not to be smart about this or anything, but because you're allowed to. Second, it's your retirement. Shouldn't you be allowed to invest into what you want to invest into instead of what an advisor is trying to sell you? And yes, I am an advisor, so I've got a pretty big opinion on this here. It's your money. So
yeah. All right. So what is a Bitcoin IRA?
Okay, simply, just like it sounds, it's an IRA, allows you to hold Bitcoin in your portfolio and other cryptocurrencies. We got the name of Bitcoin IRA because they were first on the scene, and that's what started the cryptocurrency movement, right?
Right.
These crypto retirement accounts, they're tax advantaged to help you keep your capital gains. And Michelle, you can, if you're an investor into one of these, you can roll your IRAs and other 401ks into a Bitcoin IRA. And that's what we're seeing more of into the self-directed IRAs. So.
Sure. Okay. So just to clarify, I can roll over an existing IRA or a 401k if I've left a past employer into a crypto or a Bitcoin IRA. But if I personally own cryptocurrencies, let's say just Bitcoin, Ethereum, keep it simple, I cannot roll that into it. It has to come from another. It has to come from another
source. Yeah. Right. So you can't roll cryptocurrencies into the self-directed crypto IRA, right? But you can roll your old 401k or IRA.
So it has to come from a qualified cash component from a qualified retirement account. Okay.
You got it. Yep.
Perfect. All right. So I want to talk about advantages. One thing you just mentioned is tax advantage, right? So depending on how you set this up, your Bitcoin can either grow tax deferred if it's a traditional, or tax-free if it's Roth. That's a big one. What other advantages are there to holding Bitcoin in a self-directed IRA?
Well, Michelle, this is a good example of diversification. Having your Bitcoin in a self-directed IRA gives you diversification to your overall investment portfolio. Right. We've always recommended being diversified. Many analysts have even said, Michelle, that holding Bitcoin today could act like an inflation hedge, just like gold was.
Exactly. Well, or gold could be.
Or gold is, yeah. So depends on how you look at it.
Depends on how you look at it. That's a raging debate out there. We won't go there today.
We'll have a video on that in the future.
Okay, so I do know that another advantage, I know quite a few people who hold crypto in IRAs, and they're doing it to bypass capital gains taxes.
Sure. Yeah, when you buy and sell Bitcoin inside your self-directed IRA, Michelle, you don't have the long or short-term capital gains taxes, unlike holding Bitcoin outside in a non-IRA account.
Like personally holding it. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
another huge advantage.
You trade within it without the tax penalties.
Right. So if your goal is to do a lot of trading, here's one of the biggest reasons why you want it in a self-directed IRA, crypto IRA, over a non-IRA account. So.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about disadvantages of holding crypto in a self-directed. Why are you laughing?
I knew the next one. This just drives me nuts. Thanks for asking, but the disadvantages, folks. I'm going to hit this section hard because this bugs me, and you're going to see why. The biggest disadvantage of holding Bitcoin in a self-directed IRA, Michelle, is the fees.
Yeah, the fees.
The fees can be hefty and be many. So each company out there that is the custodian of these self-directed IRAs with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency in them have different fees. And I'm going to give you a list of some of the fees. And so when you're doing your research, make sure you come back to this video, tag this video, come back to it, and look down below the video in the comment section. You'll see this list of fees to look for, and make sure you ask that company if they have these fees, because some of these companies, Michelle, have some of these fees, but other ones have all of these fees, and they can be pretty substantial.
So, all right, so let's go through the list.
Okay, let's talk about setup fees. Setting up accounts in an investment space for 25 years for our clients. Yes, there's companies that have like a minimal setup fee, like $25 or whatever it may be to set up an account. But Michelle, some of these setup fees are based on a percentage of your initial investment. And I've seen as high as 10 to 15%.
It's a lot of money.
$300,000 old 401k that you got out there that you want to roll over into a crypto or Bitcoin IRA, 300,000 at 15%, you just gave up $45,000 up front.
Yeah. And just important to note, you mentioned these are examples of what can be found. This is not in all of them. So do your research.
Right. So this list here, make sure you ask the company if they have a setup fee. And if so, what that amount is. Another fee you could look for is an annual custodial fee. This is basically, we're going to charge you a fee to hold this account every year. And it could be several hundreds of dollars per year. And the reason why I'm hitting this pretty heavy today is because I've been on the phone with these companies. I ask these questions. What are the fees? Where's your list of fees? Some companies disclose them. Other ones don't until you get on the phone with them.
Right.
Also, you can have maintenance fees. These maintenance fees, think of a timeshare. Timeshares have maintenance fees, right? They can be monthly or annual maintenance fees. And now you're seeing all them class action lawsuits trying to get your timeshare removed and that kind of stuff. Compare that to this, okay? Transfer fees from one cryptocurrency to another. Let's say you bought Bitcoin and you said, you know what, I made some money on that. I want to go to Ethereum because I think Ethereum is going to be the one next year that really grows.
So that's like as you'd find in an exchange where you're you're swapping crypto. I mean, it's a taxable event in that case. In this case, it's not taxable, but it's also on that side. There's also fees. So there could be fees inside here. Okay. So you can trade till your heart's content, but if you're getting charged X amount for each fee, it may not make sense.
Yeah. So this is all great points. We're going to, like I said, we're hitting this section pretty hard because if you're only going to go open a self-directed IRA for Bitcoin only, that's all you want to invest in, that's okay. So them transfer fees going from one crypto to another won't make much difference to you.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then purchase fees when you buy crypto, selling fees when you sell crypto. That's common in any exchange, no matter if it's a non-qualified account or a qualified account. So, but look for these ones that have a crypto storage fee.
To store that, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's called cold storage, this, that, and the other. It could be monthly or annual. So these fees can add up. To me, that's one of the biggest disadvantages of a Bitcoin IRA today, or holding Bitcoin inside a self-directed IRA. But if you do your research and find out which one of these plans fit you best, they're a great program for you.
For sure. And I think, we both made phone calls. take this list that's below and literally get on the phone and say, hey, what are your setup fees? What are your custodial fees? What are your maintenance fees? What are your sell fees, buy fees, crypto storage fees? And just go through the entire list.
And what other fees do you have that aren't on this list?
And what other fees do you have?
Yep.
Exactly. All right. So fees, what else are there in terms of the disadvantages?
The extreme volatility. For some, Bitcoin, I think of Bitcoin of the wide ranges of the prices from like 2,000 to 19,000 in 1 month, and then
that was
spiking
back
up to
a few years ago.
60,000, and then back to 39,000. Actually, we're up today, a little over 40,000, right? May not be a good thing for someone in retirement or near retirement if you're withdrawn from that account. It just doesn't make sense. But for others, and remember, we always talk about diversification. To me, having 5% of your total portfolio into a self-directed crypto IRA account makes sense for the average person, because 5% of your portfolio is not going to change your life. So if you can handle the extreme volatility of the up and down, and for the high potential higher returns in the future, this makes sense. So,
okay. All right. I do know that another one that I've heard, this is just from people I know in it. Some of these do have limited cryptocurrencies. So that could be a disadvantage if you're interested in trading specific cryptocurrencies other than like, Bitcoin, Ethereum, your basic.
Right. And make sure you ask that custodian, hey, I really am interested in trading this. Is this on your platform? If it isn't, then it kind of doesn't make sense to go with that custodian. So,
okay. All right. What else is there?
Watch for fraud, but no different here than any other type of investment account, Michelle. You just have to be cautious with fraudulent, phishing scams, where they're trying to get access to your account. That's common that's common if you have a debit card or a credit card today. How many times a year, and I travel a lot, so I've had to replace my bank cards many times. So
Sure. All right, cool. I want to talk a little bit about setting it, what it takes to set one of these up. But before we get there, I just want to talk a little bit about like bigger picture self-directed IRAs. So as I mentioned, we did a video called What's All the Rage with Self-Directed IRAs. That's below this video. The link is.
Yes.
Go check that out after you finish this one. But for the crypto or the self-directed IRAs with cryptocurrency inside of them specifically, they have the same type of rules as a traditional or a Roth, which in terms of, let's just start with contribution limits. So 6,000 for everybody, and then 7,000 if you're over 50. So I should say everybody under 50. If you're 50 and over, so you can contribute 7,000 a year, and the income caps are the same then as well, right? It's the same game. The only thing that's different is what you're putting inside of it.
You're exactly right. So, and you got to make sure, Michelle, when you're one of the rules to follow up on that is if your assets or transactions inside there are prohibited, the entire account is now distributed according to IRS and fully taxable. And if you're under the age of 59 and a half, that full account could have that 10% pre-59 and a half withdrawal rules.
Sure. And that goes back to this isn't just a disadvantage of the Bitcoin IRA or the crypto IRA. It's for any self-directed IRA. If
any self-directed IRA.
Do not adhere to IRS guidelines, they can, liquidate your entire account.
Right.
You can't roll it over. You can't do anything with it. They're going to cancel the whole thing and you're going to have to pay the penalty.
Well, you're exactly right. And remember, this is self-directed. Okay.
Sure.
So being self-directed, you've got to know that some of the negatives of opening up a self-directed IRA account are that custodian, whoever's holding the account, is not allowed to give you an investment advice. You got to do your own research. You got to do.
You have to do it all.
Yourself.
Self-directed, right? You do all of it. So that means you have to follow. You have to stay abreast of the IRS rules. Which means when your custodian sends you emails that are important, you should be reading them.
and go one step further, Michelle. Look, it's very simple. If you're trading and have investment accounts,
Sure.
9 times out of 10, you're on your computer all the time looking at it, right?
Right.
So why not set up a Google alert,
Sure.
IRS rules for self-directed IRAs?
Yeah.
And then every time a rule change or something hits a major news outlet, that
Right.
email will come from Google right into your inbox and keep you up to date on it. That's what I would do if I did not have an investment advisor to work with,
Sure.
to stay up on these accounts and any rules that could affect your portfolio.
Right. I mean, and it's a price to pay. If you want more control of your assets and what you invest in,
You got to do the work.
do the work, right? And also, especially with crypto, the potential of higher growth. It can be maybe I should say substantial, because they're high growth investments. So, all right, let's loop back and talk a little bit about what it looks like to set up a self-directed IRA for crypto, knowing that each custodian is going to be different, right?
Yeah. Some of the things that you'll find common in them, Michelle, is so once you find a custodian, they're either going to have it on a website, on an app, some type of platform that specializes in self-directed IRAs specifically to crypto. Okay. Don't go to a gold IRA setup for crypto. Okay. Right. Go something with specifically to crypto. One of the first things you're going to need is you're going to need to fill an application with them. All this stuff's online. It's real simple to do. Sometimes they'll say you can be trading in 3 minutes or 4 minutes, whatever it may be. Right. It is that simple, but there's a process you need to follow. And let's have some of the information ahead of time. Okay. So with this application, Michelle, you're going to have to give them a lot of personal information. If you don't want to give that person that personal information out, then don't set up these accounts, because by law, they've got to follow the KYC rules. And that is know your client rules. It's the same thing as me setting up an investment account for a new client. Sure. I have to know everything about that client before I can open that account. If that consumer doesn't give that information, I'm obligated not to accept that application. Sure. So some things you'll need: your name, your address, phone number, the simple stuff. They'll need to verify DNA. Your photo identity. Yes. No, not DNA yet. Not yet. That's coming. That's coming. Right. So you'll need to have your driver's license. Have it handy, because if you fill it out on your mobile phone, they're going to ask you to scan it. So you put your phone over it, take a picture of it, and they'll scan it and upload it to that company. Okay. And then you'll also need to name your beneficiaries. So have that information up front, because that will speed along the process. Okay. So once you do that, once you get through that part of it, the know your client side of it, you'll need to choose the type of self-directed IRA that you want. Usually it's going to be a Roth IRA if you want to do this with after-tax money, or a traditional IRA with pre-tax money. And it may determine on if you're rolling money over from an old Roth IRA or an old 401k, which account you go into. Sometimes you'll see the SEP IRA and the individual 401ks. Yeah. So they're not as common right now, but they're getting more popular.
They are, yeah, especially that solo 401k. I know and understand we're discussing IRAs today, but yeah, for sure. All right.
And so next, you got to fund your account. And there's 2 ways: either transferring funds from your bank account or rolling over the cash proceeds from another IRA account, like your old 401k or old IRAs. So that's the 2 ways. You cannot, like Michelle, I think you mentioned it earlier, you cannot roll crypto into these accounts. Right. You have to start it with cash somehow and then purchase it through this account, following the rules. And once you get in there, account's funded, start buying your crypto.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, that's pretty easy. And like you said earlier, each custodian is different, and there are other steps you'll need to take. It just depends. So this was
that's the basic rules.
Sure. Okay. All right. So before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to or need to add about crypto self-directed IRAs?
I'll just give you a little tip. You know, we've been doing it for years now. And since Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are high growth potential investments, in my opinion, this is an investment advice, but this is just my opinion. I think they should be in a Roth IRA for tax purposes.
Sure.
And why? Because if I'm going to get super aggressive with one of my investment accounts, I want it to be the Roth because
Sure.
it's got the highest growth potential. And at retirement, I'm paying $0 in taxes on that account. That's just me personally. That's what I personally do. Others, look, you can do it any way you want. If you want the tax break this year, you set it up as a traditional IRA and get the pre-taxes. I put it in pre-tax, and that way you get the tax break. Me, I'm willing to trade that off for the growth, potential growth of a nice retirement account with zero taxes.
Zero
to
taxes.
IRAs. So
Absolutely.
that's just me.
And it really goes back. It's what we preach on this channel all the time. What do you want? What are you looking for? Where do you want to go? What do you need? What are your goals? Know that, like, know what you know that, and then make a decision on a financial product.
You got it.
Don't do it because, you know, your brother's neighbor's sister did it and she did whatever. And you know how this is, especially in the age of social media. Well, that person did that. I should do that. And it's like, well, is it right for you?
Right.
So,
I agree.
all right. Thank you, everybody who's watched to the end. Hit that like button. We'd appreciate it. Also, you have questions, drop them below. Don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, thank you so much, Brian. And thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.